Have you ever fallen in love with the sun one day and hated the rain the next? ThomasHardy expresses this exact mood in his wonderful poem Weathers. To find how he does, watch till the end of the video. ThomasHardy was a famous novelist first, then he devoted himself to poetry after 1895. His poetry reflects dark themes of pessimism and topics of taboos like religion, women's oppressions, sex, and class conflict unlikely to Victorian standard. He created a fictional world called Wessex in which most of his poetry and novels are set. It is very interesting to know that he desired to be buried in Dorset near his family, but his fame demanded him to be buried in Westminster Abbey. So surprisingly, his body was cremated in Westminster Abbey and his heart was buried in Dorset, close to his family. Two types of weather have been contrasted by Hardy in this poem. Cheerful spring versus gloomy winter, to show the dualism of human experience, happiness versus sadness, hope versus despair, lightness versus heaviness. It suggests that the recurring nature of both life and emotions. The speaker not only observes the weather described here in the poem, but also takes active participation by saying, "So do I." This technique makes the reader feel the speaker is a part of the scene, but not a distant observer. It is a very rare optimistic poem by Hardy. Though Hardy was well known for his theme of pessimism in both novels and poetry, this poem celebrates momentary joy in spring. This is the difficult word time. Sour in this poem means a brief and light rainfall. Bills here means sings. Maid here means young girls. Betumble here means to tumble about or to throw into disaster. Nestlings here means baby birds and sons here means dislikes or hates. Duns in the poem means dull grayish brown color. Thrash means beat or sound with a strong regular rhythm. Rivulets, which means small rivers or the streams. This is the recitation time. The first verse. This is the weather the cuckoo likes, so do I. When showers betumble the chestnut spikes and nestlings fly. And the little brown nightingale builds his best, and they sit outside at travelers' rest. And maids come forth sprig muslin dressed, and citizens dream of the south and west, and so do I. This stanza celebrates the joy of spring. The speaker opens the poem with a claim that the weather is favored by cuckoo birds, and he does too. The weather they like has light rainfall, and because of the light rainfall, chestnut spiked leaves gently move and sway. Then the baby birds, the nestlings, learn to fly in this pleasant weather. Apart from this, the nightingale birds sings at their best. People come out of their houses and gather outside inns. Young girls wear light cotton dresses, and citizens, the people, plan to visit different places. By the end of the first stanza, the speaker again affirms that he too likes the weather as others, saying, "So do I." The title of the poem itself is a symbol here. We know that the weather is changeable. It is temporary. Its symbolic meaning is nothing is permanent. Everything on earth is constantly changing despite our liking or disliking. The weather is implicitly connected to changing human emotions and feelings very clearly in this poem by Hardy. How simply yet strongly Hardy put his deep message of nature's law. With the appreciations of spring, the poem opens. The symbolism of cuckoo in the poem, in the first line, represents a spring season and a completely new beginning. The speaker connects himself with the cuckoo when he says, "So do I." This shows shared emotional harmony between nature and human beings. The light rainfall mentioned in the third line creates an image of fresh spring scene where the rain adds vitality in nature. The speaker connects himself with the cuckoo when he says, "So do I." This shows shared emotional harmony between nature and human beings. The light rainfall mentioned in the third line creates an image of fresh spring scene where the rain adds vitality in nature. The first flight of nestlings beautifully stand for the freedom of the spring season, sparks within us. Another symbol used here is sprig muslin, a light cotton fabric with a flower print. It represents freshness. Youth, vitality, beauty, and seasonal happiness. The south and west symbolizes the destination for travel and adventure, which people generally do in spring season. The refrain, "So do I," gives emphasis to the personal connection the speaker creates with nature and its elements. Good weather motivates people, stirs hope, calls for more socialization, and make them dreamy. Hardy strongly establishes a notion that human behaviors and emotions are influenced by weather. This is the weather the shepherd sons, and so do I. When beaches drip in brown sand duns, and thresh and ply, and hill heat tides throb through and through, and meadows rivulets overflow, and drops on gate bars hang in a row, and rooks in the family's homewards go, and so do I. This stanza talks about the gloom of the winter. The speaker shifts his favorable weather to the least like weather, harsh winter, that is hated by shepherds too. The trees are wet, brown, dull, and leaves all fallen and look lifeless. Strong cold winds from the hill thrash the dry leaves, dry branches too. Rainwater drips from beech tree. Small rivulets get flooded due to winter rain, and raindrops hang on gates bar. Rooks, or the crows, with their families fly back to their home. The speaker concludes with the refrain, "So do I," and it shows his affiliation that he too does not like the dull and dry winter. The second stanza elaborates the depressed environment caused by the winter. Nature is now shown as heavy and burdensome. Powerful imageries like drip, brown, dance, throw, and toy creates a damp, distressing, and colorless atmosphere. It further saddens the mood of the speaker. The refrain or the repetition of the phrase, "So do I," reinforce the shared disliking irritating winter by all: nature, birds, shepherd, and the speaker. Hardy contrasts two weathers here, spring and winter, for their liveliness and gloom respectively. Similarly, birds like cuckoo and nightingale from the first stanza have been contrasted to the rooks in the second stanza. Cuckoo and nightingale standing for happiness, cheerful mood, and rook standing for the depressed and lonely mood. Though the form and language of the poem is simple, its underlining or hidden meaning depicts that there is profound interconnectedness between nature and environment and the emotions. Either the emotion is of animals or humans. Winter signifies suffering, passivity, and pain, both in natural world and the human experience. This poem is a great suggestion that human feelings are entirely connected to seasonal changes. Enjoyment in spring, sorrow in winter. Weather is presented as a mirror of human soul here. The changing nature or the impermanent nature of environment symbolically refers to the changing nature of everything: human mood, emotions, hardships, pleasure, happiness, sorrow. Change is the process, and law of nature is the central theme of this impressive poem. Nature cannot be controlled. It follows its own course of action, no matter how hard we put in our efforts, no matter how much we love or hate nature and its cycle. This is the activity time, and today we have question answer, very short question answer. First question, what do the nestlings do in the spring? Nestlings fly in the spring. What does the nightingale do? And we know it sings at its best. How do the girls come out in the spring? They come out dressed in spring muslin, suggesting they dress very lightly and cheerfully. What plan do people make? They dream of traveling to south and west, suggesting excitement. What happens to beaches in winter? The beaches trees are wet, dull color, and beaten by the weather. Where do rooks go? Where do they migrate? They go home with their families due to the extreme cold winter. Does the poet enjoy the winter or the spring, and why? The poet enjoys the spring season. The poet prefers the spring because of its greenery, liveliness, and lightness. Thanks for watching. In this way, Hardy shows us how the weather is about how we feel, how we live, and how nature mirrors our mood. If you love this poem and its deeper meaning, hit the like button, share and subscribe for more poetic writes. Also comment on what poems do you want me to present here. Keep signing.